So we're going to get started today on our signature series. What is a signature? Anybody tell me what a signature is?
Identifier.
An identifier is just your name. But Jared Powers would sign his name a certain way. Another Jared Powers would sign his name a different way. We would know who you are by the way you sign your name. Everybody has their own unique signature. Well, it's the same way. If you're going to be a professional speaker, if you're going to go out and make a name for yourself by public speaking, you'll have your own unique identity. You'll have your own topic, your own message, your own brand, your own products. So it's important to start thinking of that. That's why we call it the Signature Series. We're going to go through the next few workshops on different aspects, build upon that. And as our club and this workshop is going to do, we're going to help you. We're going to hold your hand. We're going to help get you to each point. The handouts will really help you follow along, think about, and participate, because we're going to ask you, some of you, just give feedback, give some comments so that it'll help with the other people in the room. I have on the handout your name. It's important to start with the ownership. Put your name on there. Hold on to these. The first workshop is your signature topic. That's just basically finding out what are you going to talk about. The most important question is, what is your what? Anybody?
Passion, goal.
What's your why?
What's your why? What's your reason? Why do you want to become a professional speaker? Now, when I say professional speaker, I don't necessarily mean make money. It could be gain attention. It could be gain attention for a cause. It could be any other reason. So, I want you to take the time, take a few minutes, or take a few seconds, and list some of the items, some of the reasons that you want to become a professional speaker. Start writing. Do you want to buy a new boat? Pay for the boat that you've already got? Maybe just pay off some bills.
We ask questions at the end, right? We ask questions at the end of your presentation.
Maybe you just want to get extra recognition for a cause. Or your business. Build a business. People are working feverishly. Can somebody share a couple of theirs? A couple of your ideas? Anybody have one? Larry.
As a breast cancer survivor, I have a really big breast cancer prevention and breast cancer treatment. I'm a real big breast cancer advocate.
So you want to get the word out to people about breast cancer prevention and treatment. Very good. Hunter.
I call it a medically enhanced relationship where the other person actually has a chronic illness. She has multiple sclerosis.
Ooh.
So I want to become the one and only person who actually concentrates on speaking and writing about those type of relationships, because there are hundreds of thousands out there. And
Excellent.
a lot of people
Sure.
are just winging it.
And people need that help. People feel like they're all by themselves. Yeah. Very, very good.
My goal is to inspire people.
Inspire people. Okay. Very good.
Positive message.
So you all have some really good ideas, really, and your own specific ideas, special ideas.
I want to enhance my monologue ministry, learn to tell Bible stories dramatically, and maybe speak for social causes.
Wow. Any specific social causes?
I better not say.
Sure. Well, if you're not going to say,
okay.
then why are you going to speak about it?
Well, I don't know. Well, I'm thinking about maybe I don't get into controversial things too much, but maybe some causes for the NAACP as well.
Okay, very good, very good. So the more reasons you can put and feel as to why you want to get out and become a professional speaker, the more likely you will be to become one. If you just said, I want to do one thing, I want to make money, well, that's not going to do it. That'd be enough for you. How will they change you? How would it change you to be a professional speaker?
Say that again now.
How would it change you? How would your personal life, your professional, your social life change? Have you thought about that? And would that be what you want? Sure.
One of the reasons that I'm developing the professional speaker is to bring my wife home. You know, she'll be 20 years in corporate America, and to have her home with my boys is my driving force.
And that is a really good way of putting it. Your reasons can become your driving force. The real reason that you're going to stick to it. And let's admit, it's going to be harder than you think. It's going to be more expensive. It's going to take longer than you think. But if you have that passion and you focus on these reasons, you will continue to work at it. Very good. Any other ways that will change you? Certainly, Jared would have his wife at home.
You know, a lot of people always say money won't change me, money won't change me, but it really does change a lot of things. It will change my phone number, my address, my circle of friends.
Your circle of friends.
Absolutely.
Well, it was a great knowing you, Joy. Very good. Think about it. Circle the top reasons. Now, think about specifically, how do you want to be recognized? Do you want to have that $1 million, or is the having family at home or being known for the cause most important to you? It's important that you start thinking about it, focusing on it. When you start to get that vision, then you can start to see the rest of that vision come true. Which also means that question E, how much do you want to make next year? Setting a goal. If it's 0, fine. Start setting a goal. Have you thought about it? Which leads me to question F. Which reasons help your audience? And then I ask, the goal of every speech is to AV to the audience. Anybody know what AV is?
Add value.
Add value. Well done. Of course. People don't come just to hear Fred Haley speak because it's Fred Haley. They come to hear Fred Haley speak because they know when they leave they're going to learn something. They're going to think differently or get some information that will help them on. That's what you would be doing as a professional speaker, is going and helping change their life a little. You're adding value to them. Never think about becoming a professional speaker as a way to make money. Never think of professional speaker as a way to make money. Think of it as a way to change other people. You've heard the saying before, Zig Ziglar. If you give people what they want, they'll give you what you want. You start thinking, how am I going to help my audience? They'll appreciate it and they'll come and do more. If you start thinking, how am I going to get money from them? They're going to see that. They are going to feel that the first time you speak and not come back. Think first, how am I going to add value to my audience? The other caregivers who don't know, or the relationships, they don't know how. The breast cancer survivors, the NAACP, or spiritual, or whatever. Start giving you ideas? Let's go to the second page. For the second most important question, what is your blank? Your topic. It's simple. Your topic. What do you want to talk about? Some of you may already have an idea. You really know what you want to talk about: breast cancer or special relationships. But others may not. Or you may end up with more than one. And if you are just getting started, I encourage you, think about more than one. Go out, try one, practice it. Go out and talk to an audience, talk to a club, and say, here's what I want to talk to you about. And see how it feels to you, as well as to anybody else, as well as to your audience. How do they respond? If you're not comfortable with it, you have some others that you can go to. So what I'd like you to do is list a few of your hobbies, a few of your skills, some things that you are interested in, just interested in. It may just be an accomplishment. Did you graduate from college while working full time? Did you graduate from college? Did you go on a great trip and save money? There's a list on the third page, just some ideas, just to help get your mind thinking. Did you start a business, or are you the manager of a business? Is there something in your work that you're well known for? Start thinking about some of those. Any awards you've received? Anybody have a couple to share? Something unique, something under?
I'm actually in the process of finishing up a book where I was a firefighter and I thought I was going to die. I was trapped in a smoldering house, and taking those firefighting tactics that allowed me to survive that and applying them to putting out the fires that people normally have in their life.
Yeah. Excellent. Sure. Writing a book writing a book's one thing, publishing is another, marketing is a third. 3 things that you can do. Yeah. Other? Very good. Jerry.
Yeah, I have a grassroots campaign firm where you develop grassroots campaigns for nonprofit organizations, campaigns, those kinds of things.
Very good. Something that others could use even if they're not a nonprofit, but certainly a nonprofit audience would be very interested in. I'm not talking about something big, maybe something small. Maybe you're a valedictorian of your 3rd grade class.
You know, I'm going to say for myself, my Toastmasters skills.
Your Toastmasters?
Some accomplishments that when I first started Toastmasters, it was something I really was not, I knew I needed,
Yes.
but it didn't interest me like it does today.
Okay.
And so that's what I would use.
Excellent. Good. Start to think about this. When you take this home, write down some more, because you'll start to think about some more. I've asked before, which ones help others? And some of you mentioned that helping a nonprofit organization or helping others know how to turn a fire. Think about which ones do other people ask you about the most? Because those would be the ones that help you identify what your audience would be and what they're going to want. And when I asked the first question, what was the most important about it? One of the answers was, what is your passion? That's what the answer would be in number C. Which ones are that you listed in the first section up there are you passionate about? Then choose 1 or 2, because those are the 1 or 2 that you're going to follow through with. Now, I'll ask you to select those and think about why you selected those. Once we finish this section at the end of it, I'm going to ask some of you to go through and tell us how you progressed and got to a certain point. But the last line of the second page is important. When I've asked you to think about what accomplishments, what successes, what you've achieved, even if it's small, here's why. When you're going out and you're going to talk to someone about whatever major message you have, how do you relate well to your audience? You tell stories. Well, if you can have some other little accomplishments that will relate to them, that they'll be able to understand and catch on to help make your big message, and maybe talking about valedictorian in the 3rd grade that helps you get them to connect to breast cancer or special relationships. Well, use those. Use those little stories. So it will help you to build a story file by coming up with some of those. So what I'm saying, when you go home, all right, even when you finish up the meeting, keep adding to this list. Go out and add to that. Make up your own separate file and a story file. Some of those little stories, some of those little accomplishments, they will help you later on as you start to develop your speech. Any questions before I go to the last one, section of signature topics?
Not necessarily a question, but going back to B. Do you know enough
Which
about?
ones do
you know enough about it to help others?
Yes.
It was ironic. I was talking to a gentleman just yesterday, and he was talking about how he went into being a coach for a little league or pee wee in the beginning, and he said, "Well, I don't know anything about football, or not. I don't know enough to teach." And then he said the coach asked him, "Do you know more than they do? Then you can teach."
Yes, exactly. Excellent. Yes. What is the definition of an expert?
Somebody who knows more than you do.
Somebody who knows more than the audience. Exactly right. Yeah. You were an expert. Now, does it say you're going to know everything? No. What will happen? You will start to ask more questions of yourself, so you will start to research more and develop your ideas more and find out more, so you'll become more and more and more of an expert.
Mm-hmm.
So as you start to know and recognize that you know a lot, but you don't know enough, you can still go out and tell others and help others, but then you can still build your knowledge base. Very good point. Thank you. Third question, way on the back of page 4. What style of professional speaker do you want to be? I guess you can tell what I'm trying to do is helping you to start building your vision. When you can picture yourself out in front of an audience, then you can start to go on that dream. You can start to achieve that dream. So how are you going to be up in front of an audience? You're going to be talking one-on-one? You're going to be a keynote speaker? Do you want to do a workshop like this? Have you thought about that? Or do you just want to be on a radio? Have people call in.
Where's the style part? I'm missing that. I'm not just missing it.
Okay, there you go, in the box. Which one do you want to be? Because the number 4 question is, describe your typical gig. Describe your typical arrangement when you're going out and speaking to somebody. In a couple seconds, I want you to write it down, start to picture it. I'm going to ask Linda to come up and just go through the progress of these questions, and then I'll ask several of you to share what your answers are. But can you picture yourself in front of a group, or one-on-one, or in front of a huge audience of 10,000 people at the Coliseum or the arena? 70,000 people at Everbank Field? Why not? Well, whatever you want.
That's why I was just writing down, and I would want to be kind of small and intimate.
Excellent.
I would,
Yes.
not much bigger than this.
Yes, perfect. You start to picture your perfect gig, your perfect arrangement. What do you think, Scott?
Say it again.
How would you want to be presenting? What sort of a speaker would you want to be? In front of a small group, one-on-one, or a big group?
It all depends on the occasion. I'm comfortable anywhere. I've spoken in front of like 400 or 500, I think, one time, or just a couple. No, not 400, but maybe 200. All right. So I'm comfortable anywhere, and it all depends where the good Lord leads me. What I would tell you.
Okay. One way to think about it is, where do you get the best connection with your audience? How do you feel most comfortable with them? Feel like you're gaining their excitement and their energy by talking to them. If it's in a big group, it's just as well. That works. Some people, one-on-one is the best. So start to picture your perfect gig. As you're,
This is, I don't know how this fits, but for me, when you talked about picturing a gig, how many people you would want to speak in front of, I'm an interesting, unique person because I'm an introvert by nature, but bigger the audience, more expressive, more outgoing I become. I think it's kind of unique and different of me, but it seems like bigger the group, better I am.
Perfect. But isn't it important for you to understand that about yourself? Think about how that's going to help you. When you can start to develop all of this process, you will know that the message you have to have, the presentation, should be geared for a bigger audience. Okay. Good, you need to know that. Know that about yourself. Any other thoughts? I gave Linda a little bit of warning. Linda, you ready to just come up? And what I'd like you to do is just go through these questions, or in your own presentation way, go through and tell us how you came up with your answers and your progress. Because Linda is working on becoming a professional speaker. She's done a lot of work already, so she's ahead of many of us. So I ask you all to welcome Linda Sarkis.
It's an honor to be here, Fred, and thank you for asking me to help with today's presentation. Fred has also promoted me. I'm actually ACG and ALB, so thank you for that. I'm already ahead of the game. What a man. Thank you so much. I decided, Fred, to really wait till the very end to, and I don't mean today, but leave myself open to right yesterday and today and the day before, really thinking through these answers. What is my reason, or what are my reasons? Reason number one is change the world. For me, it's always change the world. And Mandy, you mentioned you're in a little bit of a different situation. I am, in my mind, a spiritual leader. I've been a leader in business. I've been one-on-one coaching, kind of motivational speaking for a while. I do not say change the world typically when I'm speaking, because I don't think that is particularly something that people would buy into. But I know that's happened. I've seen it happen. It's happening now. And so that, in my mind, that's what I'm doing. I also put down that I would want to become a more effective leader. I'd like to write a book, and that is why I joined Toastmasters. I did not join Toastmasters to be a professional speaker. I joined Toastmasters because I wanted to write a book, and I thought I would have to speak about a book, so that's why I joined Toastmasters. I, however, changed that model of thinking because I really enjoyed this part of it as well. I'd like to build a business. I believe that the world is so short of leaders, and there's so much a need for leadership, especially in volunteer organizations like this one, that's what drives me. So if through Toastmasters that I can help people become better leaders, and Jared, you spoke about grassroots organizations, the people, the positions or the impact that people wouldn't necessarily be hired for in business, they could do as volunteers. But the view of volunteer organizations is inefficiency. That's not really a good model that people enjoy either, because they don't feel as productive, effective. So even if they do join, as someone has described to me, I volunteered to help. They told me to move a box over here. So I moved a box over here from here to there. And then after I finished, someone moved that same box from there to here. And then someone else came by and looked and said, why did you move that same box from here to there? So they moved it back. If people volunteer to help and they don't feel it's effective, then that's why they would never volunteer again. And in this person's word, I will never volunteer again. That's why I'm here, to change the world. What will change for me? I have 2 grandchildren. They're in New York. I don't see them very often, but when I do see them, I look into their eyes and say, Grandma's on this. Grandma is helping to make a better world for you. Grandma is doing what she can. She's in Florida, in New York. I love you, you love me, I'm on it. And I'm hoping that that will make it a better world. Professionally, yeah, I gained some more money and people have listened a little bit more since I've been on this road. I hope to continue that, whether it's through writing or speaking. It's impacted my job and it's impacted things that I do outside of Toastmasters. What reward or recognition? Money and power to affect change. Money is powerful, so money is powerful. I haven't really said, I live my faith. I do know a lot about the spiritual side, what I believe and why I believe it. I don't think they're separate. Some people think they are. I think it's critical that they work together. So money and power to affect positive change. How much do you want to earn in 2015 as a professional speaker? $50,000 is the number that I put. That's not an incredibly high number if you count my book and my other endorsements. There are enough people dreaming small. Aren't there? Aren't there enough people dreaming small? That's not an incredibly high number if you believe you can be successful at all. How many of you put that number or anything higher?
I put that exact up.
There you go. All right. Think about it. What reasons help your audience? And Fred already said that. Okay. For me, what is your topic? And I wrote down a few different things, including volunteer leader and spiritual leader, volunteer leadership. My focus would be helping people make their voice count. So just as I hope my voice counts today, I hope to make other people help their voices count. And hopefully it'll impact volunteer leadership. And more people will get out there and lead to affect change in that way. So I'm targeting nonprofits as well. I chose between volunteer leadership and golf, and I'm a runner, and I did graduate from college and had 2 degrees when I was working full-time and I was married and had a family. And Fred asked me about this, so I will share this. I am a nationally recognized expert on the topic of the Sure Deposit Bond Program as it relates to multifamily housing. So Fred asked me why I wouldn't speak about that. It's part of my job for work. I was hired to learn that. I was hired to be the best person with that level of knowledge, and now I maintain that initiative, and I work for a national agency, and we're partners in that area. Why wouldn't I speak about that? Well, I speak about it every day, but that's not changing the world. I speak about it internally and with them and the parties I need to train. That's not changing the world. I'm here to change the world.
Okay.
So out of volunteer leadership and spiritual leadership, I chose volunteer leadership. What is the thing that people ask me about the most? Volunteer leadership. I could speak here for a very long time about spiritual leadership, but I don't. Because I've taken a backdoor approach to speaking. As Fred said, I use stories to convey my message. I could tell some incredible stories about spiritual experiences, but I don't. I take a backdoor approach to that. So everybody's different, that's just my approach. And I also, from a money-making perspective, I think that's probably the best and quickest way to make money and to gain power for volunteer leaders and leaderships. And I did not know that, Jared, that you had that grassroots organization going. I chose, in the last page there, number 3 that we did, I chose motivational speaker and workshop presenter. I could picture myself in a nonprofit organization speaking to their leaders or possibly leaders of nonprofit organizations, helping them, hopefully, get more ideas about how they could engage more people and keep more people And I would fall back on people like, that I've heard that have helped me. Michael Porter, I heard in an international presentation in 2007, International Video Conference. This is what he said. He said, I'm a pretty good house painter, and I've painted houses. But I'm considered #1 now in the world in strategic planning. I've coached many of the Fortune 500 companies, and now my clients are countries like India. What is the best use of my time? What is the highest and best use of my talents? And I will sum my part of the presentation, which Fred would so graciously offer to me, by saying this. If I'm not making the best, highest use of my talents, whether I'm at work or whether I'm choosing what I'm going to volunteer to do, then am I doing? And if I'm not using the highest and best use of my talents, then I will go somewhere else where I can make the best use of them, where they allow me to use them, and I'm not only using my own, that I will meet people who also belong to that organization because they believe the people they work with, their team, is also there for the same reason. Brad?
You inspired? Yeah. She's telling you just exactly what you can do. She's giving you some goals and some ways of doing it. That's why I asked her to speak, is so she can help you figure out where you want to go, what you want to do. I should tell you my story, my answer to these. I have a lot of reasons for it. I mean, pay bills, do with extra money. Really, my 3 reasons are: I want to retire early. I want my wife to retire early. But my wife, many of you may have heard her. Her name is Tula Wooten. She's Tula's Tips for Caregivers on the radio. She's got a name, recognition of caring for caregivers. It's mainly here locally, but she knows a lot of national leaders. She's been recognized nationally. She wants to go further on, so I want to help her. So I figure if I can learn how to do that and help her go to the next level, even to higher levels, that would be very rewarding to me. We're already within a month of publishing her first book. And the book may not make her a lot of money, but it'll give her the credibility that she can get to go up into the national level. So that was really my main reason, is to find out how I can help her and find out how I can help myself. If I can just retire early and be able to do this a little more often, it'll be a lot more fun. So I've looked at all the different things I could talk about. A few years ago, you may have heard my speech, I lost about 100 pounds. I realized I could talk about to people. I wrote 2 books about it. Well, losing weight. But like Linda, that just wasn't passion for me. I could have talked about achieving your goals, because it was a goal that I achieved, and learned how to do it that way. Somehow I just couldn't get it to resonate. But in the process, I worked at public speaking and improving, and had other people come and talk to me about it. Well, that became one of my interests, in just helping others become better professional speakers, or better speakers overall. And then talking with many of you and hearing you say, I want to be a professional speaker. Well, I was already learning how to become one, so I felt I can help you with what I've learned. So I want to share that with you. So those are my 2 topics, is helping professionals become a public speaker, and I'm going out and doing workshops at organizations to be able to train their volunteers or their employees. I call it ToastMentor is my business. I call it as speak, connect, inspire, and lead. I can train people to speak with confidence, connect with their audience, inspire their customers, and lead their organizations. That's my little tagline, but that's one of the business. The other one is this type of organization, and I'll call it Be Paid for What You Know. You already have some issue, some topic, something that you're passionate about. You've made some mistakes and learned a lot from it. Well, help the other people. Help the person like you. You've gone through a lot in caring for your loved one. Other people are going through those same struggles. Can we help them? So that's what my passion is. And I see doing workshops as my best audience. I love just coming up and feeling your excitement and your interest and feeling the passion come out for you, and that excites the passion in me. So that gives you a little bit of idea what my answers are. Before we finish, I'm going to ask if anybody wants to share some of your answers. Just get a couple minutes, just go through and share what you've written down or what you have in mind. I think we all would like to hear a couple more examples of what is in your mind, so maybe it'll help push you and the rest of the audience. Anybody like to share?
Nobody wants to share? I said, let other people.
Waiting on you.
Jeannie.
I was waiting on you.
I'll just stay right here. Okay. I think I shared with you my reasons. I do monologues, different places. I work with students in the summer at JU, and I do a secular monologue for them to try to get them to, we work with them about 5 weeks during the summer, 1 night or 2 nights a week. And we do public speaking with these students to try and get them to enhance their skills. They're upward bound students. They're getting college credit for high school courses. That's how I actually got into JU, and I majored in education. Well, what would it change for me? Personal, professional, or social? Maybe all three. So I thought about, let me back up, monologues, tell Bible stories, social causes. I also want to enhance my music skills. Now that's a strange connection with Toastmasters, but I want to enhance, and I'll tell you why, because I'm thinking I may want to get into readers theater. I saw Earl do that recently. He was in a panel and they were doing something called readers theater, where you don't have the costumes and the big, all that other hoopla. You're just reading from a script and you're acting out. And it's very, very interesting. That's the first time I've ever heard that, and that seems more my speed. I also want to sing with the Jacksonville Symphony Chorus. So I'm a clarinetist and a vocalist. So I want to be able to enhance my skills to give back that way. Just some quick stories. What reward or recognition do you want? Now this is going to be strange. I put number 1, respect. Number 2, thanks. And 3rd, money. Money for me was 3rd, even though I can use money since I have a new car. I'm not looking to be a paid professional speaker. Earl put me on to something called honorariums. When I go out to the various places and speak, they say, do you charge? I say, no, but if you want to give me an honorarium, I'll accept that. So I'm not looking to be a paid professional speaker and make millions of dollars. That's not what my goal in life is. I'll tell you a real quick story. I was in advanced English in high school, tapped into the National Honor Society. I was pretty smart. When I got to Jacksonville University, it was discovered I had some major grammatical problems. So I spent hours each week in the reading lab, reading into a tape recorder, reading the newspaper, so that I could learn to speak correct English. And it was interesting because I was an advanced English student. And it's amazing as I stand here now after all those years. So I'm very conscientious about speaking because of that experience. So my goal is just to maybe to get out and make some money, but that's not my ultimate goal. My profession is a call center operator. So I talk all day on the phone. Now moving on with the sheet, what's your more important, what are your topics? Well, I like classical music, art, going to St. Augustine. My interests are to take a class, take some music lessons, and I have decided this year I want to do the Moments of Truth. Nancy was explaining that she was saying that you go out 3 times, you speak 2 times outside of your club, and that would be a good experience for me. I haven't done very much speaking outside of my own home club of Lily and Bradley. So I decided this year that's probably what I'd like to do to get more exposure other than in this club. Do you know enough to help others? Yes, and when I was in the choir, I can help people with the music because I know the notes and so on and so forth. What others help me with, like I say, I do something during the summer with students, about public speaking. We just give them the basics and try to instill in them, what's important. I'm one of these people, I like small, intimate audiences. And I'm mostly to myself, but but I will tell you a very interesting story, 2 real quick stories. So my thing is maybe to speak, maybe like on some social causes, I'm just not out there like that. I'm more in small, intimate environment, but to do some small social causes and maybe continue to help students during the summer. But when I first got into Toastmasters, within 2 years, they asked me to be the inspirational speaker, I guess so to speak, at a division contest. This was in the 90s. It was at Mayport. I remember it distinctively. There were about 100 or so people in the audiences. I decided to read from the Daily Bread. A week later, I received a letter. At that time, I was working at CSX, and it was anonymous. And the letter stated to me that while we admire your belief system, not all of us speak like, think and believe like you. It was very, very catchy. I never did find out who wrote the letter. Of course, there were different diversities. But that taught me a lesson, because you have to learn to speak to whoever your audience is. Not everybody believes the same. And I'm one of these people, I don't want to pound down spirituality, because I'm also hood, which means I go back into the old school music and pictures. I'm refined, but it's surprising. I like Snoop Dogg, and people say, you? but I like that type of music, Busta Rhymes and all that type of stuff, you know. And they say it doesn't fit, the picture doesn't fit, well, whatever, you know. But that taught me an experience, and I'm in a Christian speaking group. When you speak, you need to know how to speak to different types of people. So for me personally, I don't want to always be up talking about the Bible. I want to be able to learn to speak on different topics. So I have selected the persuasive speaking manual, and I'm going to be doing 5 speeches from that manual. And that's going to be ones about sales and ones about, and that's stuff that I'm not really, familiar with. And so it's going to grow me some. So I want to be a diverse speaker. Like I said, my goals are, I think I used to be the company trainer for, now it's called Career Source. And that was an interesting experience, because it was just like being a teacher. You had to have a book and a workbook. The students had to do exercises. I had to learn earned income credit. And of course, standing up in front of students, you want to know how to speak correct English. And with that, real quickly, very important, a very important lesson I'm going to tell you recently. About 2 years ago, I was on the nominating committee for Toastmasters. It was in Orlando. Earl Kitchens and I traveled together. They asked me to be on the nominating committee. And, we listened to the different candidates talk about why they want these particular offices. Well, a very interesting conversation ensued. And I'm going to be transparent and tell you that my fear, what they were talking about in there were DTMs who do not know how to speak correctly. And I think Linda Tears was in on this. And they were saying they knew a number of people who were in Toastmasters who were DTMs, and they still have poor speaking skills. I don't want to be one of those Toastmasters. So I want to work to be able to work and be able to talk in diverse environments, work with the kids during the summer. I'm a small, intimate type person. I'm not going to be in front of thousands of people. That's not my goal. I'm not looking to make professional speaking for 50,000. That's not my, I like $50,000 now. Don't get me wrong now. Hey, I'll take 25,000. But I want to be able to speak correctly, maybe to do some social causes, and continue to do my monologues, which is wonderful. I did 12 within 6 months, and I reach different people different ways: community centers, churches, just different organizations. It's a small ministry, but that's my passion. But I want to be a BTM that knows how to speak correctly.
So of all the things you heard from Jeannie, you heard 2 especially good messages. Find a passion and find a way to help someone. Don't worry about the money. Later on, one of the future workshops, I plan to talk about how we can earn money without getting paid for speeches. There are ways you could develop products, CDs, books, workbooks that you can sell to the people who you're going to, rather than getting paid, or instead of even an honorarium. If you had a book that said, don't pay me, but buy X number of copies of my book, well, you may make more money that way. I can show you how to do that. But that's in the future workshop. Anybody else like to share something? Okay, you don't have to. But I do want you to start working on your ideas, working on your reasons, working on your topics. Try to find 1 or 2. Go out and practice those. Go out and start doing speeches. You've heard me say before, you can go to Toastmasters and do the same speech every time. Because it won't be the same speech, you'll keep improving it. You can do the same speech. So you can start to develop those speeches. At least start to develop your topic, what you want to talk about, what your message is going to be, and how you're connecting with your audience. So start working on those.
I have a point about that. I was, Horace Freeman and I and Michelle Cobb-King were in Lottie Correctional last night, and I gave this talk, or speech, Onward and Upward. And I'm going to use that 2 years from now in the international speech, but the purpose of that is to develop a talk. And like you said, it's the same speech, but your audience never knows, and you pick up different things that you can adjust to it, so you're always improving, you're always growing it, the speech, and if it's a good speech, it'll never get boring to you, it'll never get old, because it'll be constantly growing.
Yeah.
So
Very
that's
good point.
the signature talk.
Your signature topic, yep. Excellent. Any other questions before we finish? We do have a second workshop we're going to do, hopefully not as long, but we'll still want to talk about it. Any other questions? Very good. Well, thank you.